Good morning, everyone. Welcome to San Francisco. For those of you who have traveled here, I'd like to open the 6th North American edition of the Sustainable Food Summit. And it's quite nice to come to San Francisco again and see a lot of faces that we've seen over the last 5-6 years.
I think it's like the core believers, the core people moving and pushing this industry forward. It's kind of where everything starts. It's ground zero for so many new initiatives, and I just love coming here and learning and being inspired personally. The talks and the education is second to none. So it's just it's fun to see the ideas in this room. You don't see in the marketplace in 2-3 years, but this is kind of where it all starts.
Tell you guys a little story about mushrooms and fish poop and what that's taught us about cereal and transparency.
I think what we're trying to accomplish is to build the type of companies that are going to change the world. Business has been extracting for the past 50 years, destructing the environment, and we really believe and we're proving that it's possible to build a successful and profitable business while respecting the highest standards, social, environmental, economical. And to show that business can be the force that regenerates this planet that really needs it.
Well, for me, the Sustainable Food Summit is an important gathering because it brings together people who are passionate about long-term commitments in improving the food supply, both from a quality standpoint and a long-term planetary sustainability standpoint.
The fact is, we don't know what's happening to our bodies that's causing food allergies, and there are 87 autoimmune deficiencies that have been identified today, and this is new. We didn't have this before. So something has happened in our food chain.
And also I would like to talk about the false promises of GMOs. So I'd just like to remind everybody that right now we do not have any genetically engineered crops that increase yield. We do not have any genetically engineered crops that are drought resistant or that are going to withstand the effects of climate change. There are no GE crops with added nutrition or added vitamins. And the truth, as I said, is that nearly all the crops are designed to do one thing, and that is withstand the greater spraying of pesticides. Our goal is to make sure that there's adequate safety testing and health testing before these products go on the market.
We are trying to change the system and change consumer attitudes through education and advocacy.
It's an incredible group of speakers and a great audience. Everyone's engaged, taking notes, really thoughtful.
Where's that meat coming from? Where's that dairy coming from? How are those people paid a fair wage? Back to Colombia, are they actually thriving in a community?
So very challenging and very rewarding. We've got a lot of good feedback from the audience.
It's like we talked about algae, we talked about pulses, we talked about crickets. These are things that a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, no one ever knew about, talked about, were not even on the horizon. And now they're becoming more commonplace and more talked about, and incredibly interesting to sustain the world's population, to grow the world's food, and just about what they can bring to the world.
I think it's most sort of fascinating just to see the level of awareness that people are starting to have about the importance of sustainability, and the conversation seems to have shifted away from whether consumers want sustainability to how to deliver it. And people are talking about making decisions which are going to cost their businesses money in the short term, but they know that in the long term they're going to lead to big benefits for consumers and for the environment and for their own business. I'd like to start asking a question, which is who in this room has eaten insects or an insect product before? That's most of you. And if I'd asked that question when we got started about 3 years ago, it would probably be just me. The real impression I want to give you here is that something big is going on. This sort of this once in a lifetime upwelling of a new type of food.
It seems like there's just a lot of transparency here and a lot of willingness to share. There's a lot of really dynamic personalities that were really excited about their companies and got me excited.
There's a lot of big picture ideas and some really innovative solutions to try to solve the problems of the future. And they seem to be right here at the summit.
One of the most important things about this Sustainable Food Summit is the holistic system thinking that goes along and is part and parcel of, I think, the quality of the attendees. In my conversations, I'm able to have a much deeper, more substantive discussion because there's a common base of understanding of this key issue.
Without a local food infrastructure, we're screwed. You know, we can all want all the local food.
Josh had a different way to express that.
You know, and I think you have to have processing and refrigeration and food safety protocols, and you have to have, but it all starts with agreements. Are we gonna work together?
I'm inspired by how many people are so dedicated to researching and understanding the complexity of sustainability. People are dedicating their lives to figuring out where nitrogen fits in the system of growing algae, how that brackish water can be used. And you can make products that look green and smell green and taste green, and that perhaps aren't as sustainable as they will be in the future. And I think the biggest takeaway is just so much honest intellectual curiosity and openness to change.
It's more like an energy around this sense of community, and there's this proverb that I love. It takes a village to raise a child, and I think that's so true for a business too, or for a movement. It takes a village to raise a business. It takes a community, and I think you leave this summit and you just feel that energy where we're all in this together.
I think the way forward is by disruption. We've got to think on how we can disrupt the food industry. So the question I want to leave all of you with is, how are you going to use the knowledge and contacts you have gained over the last few days? Will you use them to make incremental changes in your organization, or will you use it to disrupt your category? With that, I'd like to close the 7th North American edition of the Sustainable Food Summit.